We're coming to the end of 2020, and boy has it been a year. But instead of focusing on what went wrong, because there's been too much of that lately, let's instead focus on what went right. The team here at Edmunds are going to give you in this video our favorite moments of Edmunds video from 2020. So kick back, have a drink, forgive a bit of self-indulgence, and you know, it's the holidays, so enjoy this video.
So my first anecdote comes from really the start of the pandemic. I was supposed to go to Laguna Seca to drive the new Porsche 911 Turbo S, but that trip got cancelled, and instead a man with a big mask and rubber gloves delivered the car to my house. It was kind of the first time we'd seen that. Trying to keep content flowing, off I went into the LA mountains, complete with a deserted highway and just a camera on me. But to be honest, the video turned out okay, and I think we got about 250,000 views. And what it proved to me, once and for all, is actually you don't really need a production team.
All right, so best and 2020, they're not exactly words that go together this year, but we did manage to have some pretty glorious moments, even though this year was mostly about sitting around in our bathrobes. You know, I knew this was the last video of the year, so I got up, I got dressed, headed into the, hey. You told me this was a tight shot. For me, when you say best, I hear most dominating win. And that was when I laid down the most ferocious burnout, completely destroying the competition in the 3 muscle car shootout and basically sending them home to cry, which is how I like to do it. I realized that obscenely good burnout is not the most adult criteria for car shopping, but trust me when I say adulthood is vastly overrated.
One of the highlights for me has to be the Bronco debut video. Not only was it an awesome car, but also got me out of my apartment for a few days. A big shout out has to go out to Paul Wraith and Bill Mangan, the designers of the Bronco. They kind of pulled me aside and gave me a lot of details that I passed on to you. Now, if it wasn't for them, that video would have been a lot shorter, a lot less interesting. So, thanks guys.
So this was a year when we added a Mustang GT500 to our long-term test fleet. Loved the car. One of my favourite memories, sliding it around on the streets of Willow, turning all the stability control systems off and just enjoying sliding it around while doing my pieces to camera. What an awesome tool, 760 horsepower, never been this controllable.
This year we added a Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 and a Chevy Corvette to our long-term test fleet. Now these are super rad and exciting vehicles in their own right, but owning them gives us a deeper appreciation for their sheer attributes and features and so on, and just how good these cars are. It's more than we would typically get in a loan that's a week or two. And it's one of the reasons why I think our long-term test program is so cool, is because it gives us that same experience with all the vehicles that we evaluate or are able to evaluate in this program, whether they're sports cars, or trucks, or SUVs, or even EVs too. Alistair already mentioned how much fun he had learning how to power slide and drift to the GT500 in our 911 GT500 and C8 Corvette comparison, and I'd like to add to that by saying how much fun it was learning how beautifully balanced our Corvette was to drift. I like this car! Once it's in the track alignment setting, and that's a costly and time-consuming process that I've detailed in our long-term blog, the thing is so much fun to drive, and learning how hard you can hang that out, how much you can hang it out, basically with the steering wheel bouncing off lock and full counter steer in 3rd gear at full throttle. It was a terrific time, and I just wish I could have kept doing it.
My next one isn't one big moment, but a series of small moments. You know, comparing performance cars is easy. All you do is race them, and then one wins, and that's the best one. It's very clear cut. But when you're comparing family cars and daily drivers, it can be harder to showcase what they offer. Coming up with ways of demonstrating cargo space and small item storage has been a lot of fun, and sometimes quite funny. At least, I hope you thought it was funny.
Another bright spot for me has to be design trends I wish would just go away. Now, I didn't really think it was going to get that many views and that many comments. But let's be clear, a lot of the heavy lifting was done by the producers and editors, so a big shout out goes out to Johnny Calderwood and indeed the entire Edmunds video team. You guys are the wind beneath my wings.
If you grew up in the UK as a car guy like me, then the rebirth of the Land Rover Defender really did feel like a big deal, and the vehicle itself does not disappoint. We put it up against the 4Runner and the Wrangler, both on and off-road, and the Defender came out a clear winner. Lots of interest in it too. You watched over 4.5 million minutes of that video. And now we want to add one to our long-term test fleet so we can put it head to head with that other new off-road pretender, the Ford Bronco.
If you'll forgive a bit of self-congratulation, this year marked the first time our videos have appeared on YouTube trending, not just once, but twice. The first one we did was the drag race between the Challenger Hellcat Red-Eye, the Camaro ZL1 1LE, and the Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 with Kurt, Alana, and myself. That was a great time. And the second one was Mark Takahashi's reveal on the Ford Bronco. Look, we realize we're not the biggest YouTube channel out there, so when we see this kind of result, it tells us that we are maybe doing something right. We really appreciate you guys for watching those videos and ones like these.
I've got kind of a reputation around here for mostly covering muscle cars and family cars, which is great. I mean, who doesn't like muscles and family? Still, it was kind of a special treat for me to get a chance to review the Porsche 911 Targa 4. I mean, open air, drive along the beach. There's no such thing as a perfect car, but driving that 911 alongside the beach, that was a perfect day.
The Ford Mustang Mach-E was heavily delayed by the pandemic, but it was still worth the wait. Yes, it might not sell in the numbers of the F-150, but I still think it's a hugely important car for Ford. There's been lots of talk this year about the death of the internal combustion engine, but having driven the Mach-E and the Porsche Taycan, I for one am optimistic about the future.
In a bit of personal news, this year my wife and I adopted this little hunk of love. Sadie is a Jindo mix. She came from South Korea, and she's been a wonderful addition to the family, especially this year. You may recognize her from the best sports car list video that I did back when the lockdown started earlier this year. And the long and short of it is, go adopt a pet. You won't regret it.
All right, the gang told me I have to tell you guys something personal about my life that has nothing to do with cars, except honestly, there is nothing in my life that isn't about cars. I was like, oh, what's happened recently? Let's see, I got a Trans Am, and no, that's a car. I worked on my Opel, nope, that is also a car. I did some off-roading, I entered an off-road rally, also car stuff. Oh, you know what? We got puppies. Stan and Jerry, new babies in our family. That was a pretty good part of this year.
Personal automotive anecdote of the year, well, I think that was building a McLaren 570S Spider for my daughter's first birthday. $80 and a lot of blood, sweat, tears and a fair bit of whiskey before it was built. But then we could pose for the obligatory father-daughter shot with my borrowed McLaren.
As always, thanks for watching, happy holidays, and thank God 2020 is over.
It isn't too much of a cliche to say that we really couldn't do all of this without your support.
If you're a recent subscriber, thank you for joining this channel. If you've been watching for a long time, thank you for your continued support. It means a lot to us. This year having been what it was, we wanted to shine some brightness on some of the things that made us happy and share some of that with you guys too, because there's too much negativity going around. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for gritting through 2020, and we'll see you in 2021 where things will definitely be better.
Happy holidays to you all. Thanks so much for watching what we do. We'll do more of it in 2021.
From all of us at Edmunds, stay safe, happy holidays, and see you on the other side.